Hello, this is AstrologerCoach Sonja Francis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming new moon, which will be exact at 23 degrees of Aquarius on February 11th at 2:06 p.m. East Coast time in the US, which is also New York time, and that will be 7:06 p.m. London time. So this is the beginning, of course, of a new moon cycle and new 28 days. And this is a time usually when we want to go within so we can get a sense for what the new cycle is all about. So we can plant a seed for anything we'd like to accomplish over the next 28 days and maybe even beyond the next 28 days. Now, I will talk about this process of setting new moon intentions at the end of this forecast, and I will also give you the very best and most potent times for doing so. So stay tuned if you're interested in that. And also, of course, as always, please take advantage of the timestamps that I have added to the description part of the video in case you want to watch the video in shorter sequences or you want to skip over a part to get to a later part in the video or whatever you'd like to do. So please take advantage of that if you want that. And let's get started talking about this new moon chart. So this new moon is unique in that there is a stellium of planets in Aquarius. And that means that there's multiple planets right next to each other. That's what's called a stellium. And we're talking about 6 planets total here, to be exact. That's a lot to be right next to each other. And this highlights anything connected to group experiences, whether large or small, online or in person, business or personal, spiritual or health-oriented, you name it. Anything connected with group experiences will be highlighted for the next 28 days. And this lunar cycle invites us to go out there and connect or reconnect with our people, whoever that might be for you. Now, any tribe that resonates, a cause that feels aligned with, our principles or belief systems, a connection that serves a larger vision for the future, whatever it may be for you. Just think of like connecting or reconnecting with a group of people in some way. Now, the highest and lightest vibration of Aquarius gives us the opportunity to see a clear vision for our life, and we're ready to make the relevant improvements so that we can get to that vision. Now, Aquarius is also, the energy of Aquarius also deals with the power of ideals, technology, and inventions. So that's something that will be highlighted as well. And we're now more interested than ever in the collective focus on changing group consciousness. Now, this is an opportunity for all of us to become a little bit more aware of our own individual impact that we have on the collective or within a group experience. And we have to remember that all of us, or at least most of us, and some of us more so than others, I should say, are agents of change, right? We have that in our DNA. That's already there. We were born with that. It's always going to be there. And that's why we chose to be here at this time on this planet, right? And so when we look at the Aquarian energy, what we can say is that at its best, it stands for equality and diversity, innovation and reform, collaboration and community, and we strive for progress. It's always about making things better for the whole of the whole of the group or the whole of the community. And the challenge here is to unite and transcend differences of gender or race, cultural or religious backgrounds, and rather than separating from others or ostracizing those who are different from us, we want to learn how to be tolerant and connect and not let those differences pull us apart. So to move even further into that higher, lighter Aquarian vibration, you can ask yourself the following questions. Where am I called to make a difference at this time? And in particular for the next 28 days, pay attention to, is there anything that's calling you to contribute or to come in and to give something to, so you can make a difference? And what could I as an individual do for humanity or a particular group of people? It doesn't really matter how big that group of people is. If you can make a difference, or if you can do something, to connect and to create something better for the future, see if you can do that. And how might group consciousness help us make progress? And where might I begin with that? Now, if you want to have access to the new moon questions from this video, because there's going to be a bunch more after this, if you want to have access to that in writing, so you can use it for journaling, or you can use it for your meditations, or whatever else you want to use it for, even if you have like a group of people that you want to come together with and investigate these questions with together, this is actually a great time to do that. So if you want to have access to this in writing, and also to the full moon videos every month, feel free to check out the various levels of membership that are available on my website at astrologercoach.com. And if you're already a member of my online community, please check out the membership portal by signing into my account, and you will find all my posts inside the My Content tab. And the new moon questions are available via the New Moon in Aquarius article, which will be posted by February 6th, the latest. All right. Now, with so many planets in Aquarius that we have with this new moon chart, we are also experiencing some of the denser vibration of that sign, of course, because we just talked about the higher vibrations or the lighter vibrations, but of course, when there's so much energy focused in one place, that can also bring out the more denser vibrations. So let's talk about that a little bit. So what might that be? So with the denser vibrations, we may either feel like outsiders, or we get too invested in being like everyone else, part of the group, right? Like being like everybody who is in the group, or, not standing out too much out of the group. Now, we may also overemphasize thought forms or concepts and disconnect from our heart. That could be one of the side effects of the denser vibration of Aquarius. And the future can seem more interesting than the present, because, of course, Aquarius is invested in the future and invested in progress. So sometimes we forget that we're still here now when we're too much invested in the future. Now, if we feel like outsiders, if we feel that energy over the next 28 days, or if that's just something how we feel anyways to begin with, like we don't fit in, or we're maybe a little bit too different from everybody else, we may want to kind of pay attention to that and take a look at that, what that feels like. And also, if there is like this sense of wanting to rebel against social structures that don't fit our own personal vision, we want to pay attention to that a little bit. And we might also resist change, or conversely want to speed up change. And either one could potentially be a destructive way of doing things. So again, we want to pay attention to that a little bit. And if we feel like we need to conform with others, like a group, an affiliation, friends, family, we're just part of some kind of tribe or unit, and we want to kind of be like everybody else, what happens then is that we might give up our own unique spark or quirks, and just so we can fit in or be a part of something larger than we would be by ourselves, and something that makes us feel like we belong. And we might go along with thought forms or concepts that may not even make sense to us, and we don't question them for the greater good, or for the greater good of the group. Or we also might not question it just so that we avoid being rejected or ridiculed or ostracized, right? And these are very valid fears. I mean, I think people have had fears like that since the Stone Ages, since humans began, really, because being part of a tribe really was a matter of survival in a sense. And if you were ostracized or rejected by a tribe, that could really mean that you had to die. You would either die because you couldn't survive on your own, or you died because you couldn't, feed yourself or have enough shelter or whatever it might be, right? So that's a real legitimate fear that we, I think, have in our own DNA, stemming from many, many past lives. Now, we get trapped in these denser vibrations when we do not take responsibility for our part in the collective, when we're just trying to shift the responsibility onto a group, right? Whether we're part of the group or not part of the group, either way, we're not wanting to take responsibility. We're shifting responsibility onto the group, onto that collective or that, affiliation. And when we do not honor our own individual responsibility, our own individual genius, our own unique contribution to society or to our communities, that's when we get trapped in these denser vibrations. Because we have to remember that, each one of us is definitely bringing something very unique to any group experience. And we need to take responsibility for what that is as well. And need to take responsibility for the power that we each hold within a group experience. So ask yourself, what if I allowed myself to be both different and connected to others? So this is a great question because it really applies to both of the denser energy, whether you feel like you're too different or whether you feel like you don't want to be too different and you want to belong to a group, right? Either way, that question is really fantastic to ask. What if I allowed myself to be both different and connected to others? And also remember that, you might not be either or. You might have moments where you feel like, you want to be part of that particular group or that particular, tribe, and you don't want to stand out. And then you might have moments where you don't want to be a part of a particular affiliation. You don't want to even come close to that because you feel like that's that you're too different to be able to be part of something, right? So you might experience both of those polarities in a way at different times, or neither. That's possible too, of course. But really try and be honest with yourself here, because it's important to allow ourselves to really be conscious and see when that's something like that is taking place, when the denser vibration of an energy is taking place. It's very helpful to be aware of that. Now, some other questions you can ask yourself here is, what if taking responsibility for my thoughts and the vision that I'm manifesting in every moment of now was the perfect jumping start for that better future? So it comes back down to taking responsibility, right? Because the sign that comes before Aquarius is Capricorn, right? And we've had, a couple of years now of a lot of Capricorn energy, and in particular 2019 and 2020. And that happens so that we can all get more clear on our responsibility, the individual responsibility that we carry in the collective. And now with Aquarius, it's really about, carrying that through, that ability to be responsible as an individual and bringing that to the group consciousness. So what if taking responsibility for my thoughts and the vision that I'm manifesting in every moment of now was the perfect jumping start for that better future that I'm trying to create? Now, what lies between me and my divine genius? So that's a great question in the sense that, sometimes, we have different parts of ourselves that we engage with at different times. And there is the conditioned self, which is a lot of times also connected to our survival self. And then there is the more spirit self that is connected more to the higher, more pure vibrations inside of us that are also connected to our divinity. But of course, when we're in our day-to-day and we're not really connecting to that divinity, through meditation or through quiet time, sometimes we get to connect more to that conditioned self. So what lies between me and my divine genius, which we could also say what lies between my conditioned self and my own divinity. And the divine genius, I see that also as kind of like sometimes the ideas that come through, that we're not that don't come from our conditioning, but that just come from, being open and allowing ourselves to stay connected to our own divinity. And sometimes we have these insights that come through when we do that. And those I would call divine genius. And then what stops me from being me when I am with my tribe? And so here I'm not actually referring to the conditioned self, but the you that, or the me that is me without the conditioning or including the conditioning, right? Because there are so many parts of ourselves, and one of those parts is just the inner child, the inner happy child. The part of me that is creative, and the part of me that is, fully expressed, open-hearted, open-minded, right? These parts of yourselves, those are really important parts, and they really can show the true essence of who you are, right? So what stops me from being me in that pure sense? When I'm with my tribe. Because sometimes, being a part of a group, whether that's a smaller group or a larger group, it can definitely influence how we portray ourselves, what we say, what we don't say. Sometimes we censor ourselves, right? So sometimes being aware of what that is and paying attention to that can be really quite helpful. Again, feel free to journal or to meditate on these questions. Now, last question, what small daily steps would bring my vision for myself and humanity closer every day? And this is important because we want to make sure that we take small steps, because we have to remember that Saturn is also in Aquarius, and Saturn is inviting us to always be very diligent, but also very realistic about what's doable, what's workable, what's sustainable. And so we don't want to zoom into the future too fast. We want to make sure that what we're trying to do with our vision is something that can last, something that's really realistic and profound. So feel free to play with these questions if they resonate with you. If they don't, feel free to ignore them. And, we have to remember with this Aquarian energy that every single one of us has a special gift, something that is like a spark inside of us. And so when we access that divine genius or that spark, and we share that with the world, we can really make quantum leaps of insight, and we can embark on remarkable collaborations with other people when we allow that to come out. Because when you stay silent and you don't allow yourself to really let that spark shine, or let that individuality express itself, then the collaborations or the groups that you belong to, in a way, you are doing a disservice to that group or to that affiliation, because they're missing something vital from you. Something that if you give it to them, it could create a much bigger shift. So ask yourself, how does my divine genius make itself known? And where does it show up? And what if my different was exactly what the world needed right now to evolve? I love that question. And then could I be fully myself, heart and soul, and give others permission to do the same? That's very important. You'll see why that's very important as we go on, that question. And what if diversity not only supported our evolution, but was also what kept us alive? And I think this is really important to contemplate, because if we don't allow diversity, who's not to say that that's actually could be our own downfall, right? Now imagine Do an experiment, right? Imagine a world where everyone was a clone of yourself. Same features, same personality, same preferences, same style, same ideas, same beliefs, same everything. How long could a world like that exist? And how long before the human spirit completely perished if that was so, if that was a world that actually existed? Because I think diversity really is what makes us live more fully. It's very important, I think, for the human spirit. Now, Mercury is retrograde at the time of the new moon and makes a wide alignment with the sun and moon in Aquarius and a closer alignment with Venus and Jupiter, also in that same sign. And that's our stellium, you could say, right? Saturn is in the mix there as well, but Saturn is a little bit further away from Mercury. So we have like a lot of planets right next to each other. And so this invites us to go within and connect with groups and causes that are in alignment with our inner understanding of things. Because remember, a Mercury retrograde means that there's sort of like and going within and really allowing ourselves to internally resonate with that energy and internally feel into what resonates with me personally. It becomes more personal. So ask yourself, how can I connect my inner experience that I'm sensing internally with my outer? So any collaboration, any connection that we're making, how is that internally connected to the external? And which member of my tribe have I not spoken to in a while? We might want to maybe look at that and see, is there anybody that I would like to now reconnect with? And who is or has been in alignment with my dreams for a better future? Who are those people? Make a list. Look at that for yourself. Meditate on that. Is there anybody that pops into your mind where you go, oh, I haven't spoken to that person in a while. I really want to have a conversation with them. And what would it look like if I reached out to those people, groups, communities, affiliations? What would that look like? And visualize that for yourself maybe before you even do it. Feel into that and go, what does that feel like? And then if that feels really good, go for it. Reconnect. Now, mental and conceptual abilities are really strong for the next 4 weeks with that Mercury retrograde. And we may feel particularly cool and calm and collected or even detached because there's so much in Aquarius. So do your best to notice any tendency towards arrogance or rigidity of thought. Very important. And choose to focus on objectivity and a larger vision whenever possible. So especially if you're noticing some kind of like, oh, I'm better than that, or that's not me, I don't do that, or that kind of like rigid thinking of that's how it is and that's how it always needs to be. Like that's the right concept, that's the wrong concept, right? Like when you have that kind of rigidity of thought, see if you can kind of largen your vision a little bit, and allow yourself to be a little bit more objective around it, rather than taking something so personal or get really, really identified with something. So you can ask yourself here is, what if my thoughts were like a radio station that others could tune into at this time? What would I choose to broadcast? And what if I consciously chose to transmit a vision for a world in which I wished to live in? And what if I send out this transmission for just 5 minutes each day, especially for the next 28 days, right? To really pay attention to that. Like, what is it that I want to be creating? What is it that I want to live into? And really visualize that and keep sending that out for 5 minutes each day with great intent. Just allow yourself to feel into that. Very, very powerful when we can do that. And in particular, when we can do that with other people. So anything that you can do in a group of people where you have the same vision and the same intent for a better future for a multitude of people involved If you can do that together, you can sit together for the same 5 minutes every day. Very powerful, because it gets exponentially bigger. That vision gets multiplied, that energy gets multiplied the more people join together. Now, if you think that you're alone and you're not able to connect to people who have the same vision as you do, you know, let's say you think that you're the only one who, you know, thinks that it's great to have more trees in the world. You're the only one who thinks that it's great to go to Mars or go to Venus with a rocket ship. Whatever it might be. I mean, these are just stupid examples, or not so stupid examples, but they're just examples, right? So whatever it is that your thing is, you're the only one who thinks that blank, you know, just fill in the blank. Then I want to just challenge that, you know, if you have something like that, I want to challenge that for you and just think again, because there is about 7 billion people on this planet. So you're definitely not alone. There's going to be somebody out there, no matter what your vision, no matter what your quirks, you know, no matter what your divine genius, no matter what you are broadcasting, there are others out there who are tuning into that same station, into that same frequency. So just have faith that you'll be able to find your people. And of course, with technology these days, that makes it so much easier. You know, all these apps that we have, all these communities that we have where we can connect and you know, get ourselves heard. It is so vital that people feel heard. It's so important. Even if their vision is not in alignment with the majority of other people's visions, it is still important that a person feels heard, because when people don't feel heard, that's when they do crazy things. So make sure that, you know, you find that you have this outlet, that you don't feel like you are isolated from the world, because there are so many ways these days that we can find a connection with people. So ask yourself, how could I inspire others to foster progress? What might become possible if a group of us came together to create meaningful change for everyone, perhaps even for all living things? Could I give other people the space they need if they don't see things the same way I do? And this is important. This question is important because we don't want to get so attached to a vision that we have that we think that everybody has to have the same vision. We don't want to get so attached that we don't allow other people to have their own visions or other visions from ourselves. So what if I focused on my own vision rather than making others wrong for theirs? So when that shows up, right, when you have this urge inside of you to have an argument with other people about their vision or what they think is right or wrong or what they think needs to happen in the world, if you get this sense in you, this urge that you want to fight it, or that you want to, you know, want to convince other people or convert other people in some way, just allow yourself to think, what if I focused on my own vision to get that going, to make that a reality, rather than making other people wrong for their vision? And also remember that, you know, the higher vibrations are always more potent than denser vibrations. So if there's somebody out there who has a vision that has a more denser vibrational field to it, don't worry about that. You know, if your vision has a higher vibrational field to it, then your vision has much more momentum. So you don't have to convert other people. You don't have to tell other people that they're wrong. You know, just keep allowing yourself to stay in your own highest vibration, your own highest frequency with what you're creating, and keep at that. Now, the new moon and Mercury in Aquarius also square Mars in Taurus. So this asks us to question our group affiliations and explore alternatives. So it doesn't mean that we have to separate ourselves from all group affiliations or from all groups that we're a part of. But we want to question the ones that we maybe feel like are not necessarily in alignment anymore with our own value systems. So we may want to break free from some of these groups because they are no longer in alignment with our own value systems, how they are currently. And with Mars involved, we may experience a strong urge to act out desires for financial independence and for honoring our physical realities, maybe getting attached to what we're used to having or what we feel comfortable with. We may have a tendency to get a bit stubborn, and we could also take things a little bit too personally. So what you want to ask yourself here is, how could I honor my own values and allow other people theirs, honoring their choices or preferences, just as much as we want to honor our own choices and our own preferences. So you can see here there's sort of like a theme here with this new moon, which is all about, allowing yourself to be you, allowing others to be them. So what if taking things personally was not in my best interest? And that's a great question, especially for all of you out there who have a lot of fixed signs in your chart, right? Who have a lot of Taurus or Leo or Scorpio or Aquarius. We as fixed signs, we have a tendency to take things a little bit more personally because we're fixed, right? It's like, yes, this is it. This is how it is. Sometimes also Cancers might take things a little bit personally, but that's a little bit different because there's more of a sensitivity there, being sensitive towards, feeling maybe attacked or something. Sometimes Aries can take things a little bit personally too because, they want to do it their own way. Now, what if taking things personally was not in my best interest? And what if simply holding space for myself and others would give me the freedom I desire within my communities? So when you're part of a community, sometimes we forget that we can actually hold space for ourselves, even within that community, that we can hold space for others. And holding space is really important. I mean, if you just think of that word or that phrase, holding space, maybe close your eyes and just tune into that phrase, holding space. What does that feel like? What does that represent? What pops up for you when you think holding space? Feel free to even journal on that word or that phrase, holding space. What comes up for you when you think that? Because in integrating that right now can be so powerful if we can just do that for ourselves and others right now in several situations that might occur, because we might experience, different things in our communities or in our life right now. 2021 is going to be a year of a lot of changes and a lot of needing to do things differently. So holding space can be really, really powerful when we do that. So what if simply holding space for myself and others would give me the freedom I desire within my communities? And what if it also allowed me to honor myself on a physical level, whether that was financially or involving whatever my body needs so that I can feel happy? So the physical body, or just also material things that I need to feel comforted or comfortable. So this holding space, that can also help me to kind of honor myself on a physical level. Now, Uranus, which is the modern ruler of Aquarius, is currently in Taurus as well. And it squares Saturn, which is the traditional ruler of Aquarius, which is currently in Aquarius. So we have here a square between Saturn and Uranus, between Saturn in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus, between the traditional ruler of Aquarius and the modern ruler of Aquarius. So this tells us that if we redefine our need to fit in and belong, we can find a more authentic connection with our own values. We're also invited to stay detached in our social dealings with others, honoring our own individuality without making anyone else wrong for being different or themselves. Coming back to that theme again that we've been talking about. And so what you can ask yourself is, are other people's choices and preferences really about me? In other words, do I need to take them personally? Again, it's Taurus, right? Taurus and Aquarius, fixed signs. There's a tendency to take things personally. Could I give the choosing of other people the space that it needs so I can honor what's important to me without taking anything personally? And what might become possible if I expressed myself fully, knowing that others may have a different opinion to me, and that's okay? And how might that impact my current communities, whether physical or online? So whether that's something you experience on the local level in person, or whether that you're experiencing that online with, social media apps, Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, like all those ways that we connect these days. Okay, so of course, while Uranus is in Taurus, it does prod us to get back to the basics, to what really matters and what is sustainable for the whole of the planet. Because remember, Taurus is also connected to our planet, to Earth, and what is best for all living beings. Taurus is very invested in nature, in like what's alive, what's beautiful, what's out there, expressing itself, and what's valuable, just because it's alive. Ourselves included, of course. So where am I feeling a tension or a need for more spaciousness, or for more allowing of that, of allowing things to be valued or be valuable just because they are what they are? And where do I need to think outside the box when it comes to nature, earth, physical manifestations or physical things that exist in nature? Could I give myself permission to hold space for things to reorganize themselves? For example, the planet, right? Can we allow the planet to reorganize itself? Can I allow my own environment to reorganize itself? So could I give myself permission to hold some space for things to reorganize themselves? And could I allow for this to happen slowly without needing to rush into anything, without pushing others or myself? Because, remember, we're still talking about Saturn being part of the equation here. And Saturn says, not so fast. Let's do this well. Let's do this right. Let's be mature about it. Let's not rush into anything. So keep in mind that things sometimes need to break down in order for them to be reorganized in a more sustainable way. And part of that square between Saturn and Uranus could be some of that as well. So individually speaking, this can be related to the area of life in your birth chart that Saturn and Uranus are currently transiting through. So if you know your birth chart really well, you can look that up and see what houses are Saturn and Uranus in, and what does that mean for me. Now, collectively, it can show up in sudden shifts and changes in our social or financial structures. How we interact with each other, what that looks like. The changes that we're making in our technology, that we're engaging in. Maybe how often do we engage? How much? What's the value that all of this has for us? Is it valuable? But also, of course, the physical shifts that can happen in the Earth's structure as well, right? The Earth or the planet is also recalibrating, just like we are all recalibrating as a society as well, and who we are as individuals inside of this society. We're all recalibrating and getting reorganized in that, because 2020 has been such a shift, there has been such a birthing of something new in that year, that now we need to learn how do we recalibrate and how do we reorganize ourselves so we can fit into this new, in what we want to be manifesting, from this new place. So what we could also say is the unexpected is certainly going to be on top of the menu this year, because we don't know, right? Unexpected is anything that is new, that is different, that we don't know how it's going to play out. And of course, when we have a huge new beginning like we've had in 2020 with all these planetary conjunctions, Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn. There were so many conjunctions in 2020, new seedings of new cycles, huge cycles, 20-year cycles, 35-year cycles, 18-year cycles, whatever the cycles were, right, for each of these conjunctions. But there are long cycles that we've been, that we're starting out right now. So unexpected is certainly going to be on top of the menu this year, because when we're starting something new, we just don't know how it's going to turn out. It's a very, you think of it as like an Aries feel, right? Aries is sort of like the sign that is very comfortable with new beginnings. It's very comfortable with just charging ahead and saying, hey, let's do this. Who cares how it's going to turn out? Who cares what's going to happen? We don't need to know. We're just going to be in that newness of things and allow that to be okay. Right? So that's what a conjunction is. It has sort of like this feel of like, it's new, so we don't know what's going to happen. Now, if you would like to learn how the Saturn-Uranus squares in Aquarius Taurus will impact you personally throughout 2021, because we're going to have 3 of them, feel free to join us on February 26th for the next forecasting forum. If you're not a star member yet already of my online community, feel free to register for this webinar by clicking on the link below this video. I'll have something there for you that you can click on. And this will also give you access to the upcoming Members Full Moon video if you're not already a member of my online community. Now, to sum it all up for this new moon, we are ready to change the status quo, both in our own individual lives and also collectively. And this could come with challenges and some breakdowns, of course, plus some nervous energy or impatience. So definitely bring as much objectivity to your interactions as possible. And remember that this is a process, right? That even though we are ready doesn't mean that everything's going to happen immediately and right away and with great speed. This is a process, and we're allowing ourselves to stay as open-hearted and as open-minded as possible so that we can get to the next level of that process. Now, we also may experience sudden spurts of energy moving through our own bodies, because Uranus is in Taurus. So we need to ground ourselves regularly or channel these disruptive energies in a healthy way. Exercise could be a really great channel for that. Also, we could have like healthy debates with other people that allow ourselves to investigate, where we stand, where other people stand. Again, healthy debates, very important that we don't kill each other. Brainstorming about reforms or finances, etc. Really coming together and allowing ourselves to brainstorm and to go, hey, how could we, deal with this? Or how could we create something new here, and really allowing ourselves to come together and do that, because as a group or as the collective, we're going to have so many incredible ideas. We're going to come together, and one person will inspire the other person to have an even better idea, and it will just exponentially grow from there. So that can be really exciting as well. Now, since we experience a need to connect with like-minded people while remaining objective at the same time, but also want to break free from outdated value systems, we may have to directly address for ourselves, what do we value, both in others and in ourselves? What is important to us? So we definitely need to ask ourselves, what outdated values am I ready to release and let go of? Where do I take other people's values personally? Again, we have that personal factor, right? What if agreeing with other people's values was overrated? What if it's okay not to agree? What if respectful disagreement was valuable to everyone involved? And remember, the key word here is respectful disagreement, right? Because when we can be respectful towards each other, it's okay to disagree with each other as long as that happens without putting the other person down, where we still stay on the same footing. Just because you have a different opinion, just because you think different thoughts, that doesn't mean I have to put you down. That doesn't mean that you are worse than me or not as good as me. Even if I disagree, can we agree to disagree, right? I mean, that's something that is so adult in a way, right? Like if you can have a conversation with someone, you can say, could we just agree to disagree, because I don't think we can get there. I don't think we can find a way to really meet here. That is a very adult conversation to have. And that is Saturn in Aquarius. So what if respectful disagreement was valuable to everyone involved? And what if diversity was the greatest gift we could give to each other at this time? What if time really was what heals all and brings wholeness to all? Because we've been through a lot, right, in this last several years, and especially in 2020. And so what if we could just give each other some space and time? And what if that would just heal all of what we've been through, all of what we've all experienced? It's been a lot, right? And if that were so, might this call for patience on my part? What if each one of us could just bring a dab more of patience to the process that we're experiencing right now? As best as you can, remember why you're here at this momentous time of change on this planet. Think different, come together, help birth a new world one day at a time. And coming together and with that intention, coming together with the intention of birthing a new world one day at a time, that is so powerful. So whenever we meditate, whenever we pray, whenever we bless something or hold loving thoughts, either by ourselves or with other people, we add to that vision of a new world. So don't give up ever. Because, when we keep that vision alive for as long as it takes, however long it takes, we will get there eventually. We have to remember it is a process. We're just at the beginning of creating this new world. We're at the beginning, we're at that seeding of things. And so it's very important that we're conscious of every thought that we put into that vision, that we put into, creating and manifesting that new world. Now, if you have an ascendant or any personal planets in 21 to 25 degrees of Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, or Scorpio, then you're definitely going to be more impacted by this new moon and for the next 28 days in connecting with this new moon energy. Now, take a look at your own natal chart as well, though, in case you don't have any points or planets in those particular degrees or signs. And just take a look at where does 23 degrees of Aquarius land in your birth chart, because the house placement of the new moon will indicate which area of life is most impacted for you personally for the next 28 days. And if you don't know how to do that or how to look that up, you can also check out my 30-minute class on how to read your birth chart. You can get free access via my homepage at astrologercoach.com to that class. You just need to scroll down on the homepage until you see a box that says free class, and then just click on that, and you can get to it from there. Now, let's finally talk about new moon intentions, what I've been talking about at the very beginning of the video. The new moon is the best and most potent time to set powerful intentions. So you want to do that usually after the new moon becomes exact, and definitely not during a moon void, of course, phase. So this month, that means that we have to wait a little bit with setting intentions, because the new moon, because it's such a late degree, a new moon, it starts a moon void, of course, phase as the new moon becomes exact. So that means this month, the best and the most potent time to set intentions would be any time between 2:23 a.m. on February 12th. So that's the day after the new moon becomes exact. And 2:06 p.m. on February 13th. And all of that is New York time, US Eastern time zone. If you do live in a different time zone other than US East Coast time and converting time zones isn't your thing, I suggest just joining me on my Facebook fan page and or follow me on Twitter. I will be posting reminders to let you know when it is time to set your new moon intentions. I'll be posting on February 12th throughout the day and night, and on February 13th in the morning to let you know now is the time to set your intentions. And when you see those posts pop up, you just basically write down your intentions. If you need more information about setting intentions, if you've never done that before and you don't know how to do that, go to my website, go to my blog page, and then look for astrology articles or a tag for new moon intentions. I'll also put a link below this video where you can just click on that link if you want to get to it right away. And if you want to sign up for my free monthly newsletter, you can do that via my homepage at astrologercoach.com, or you can also email me at info@astrologercoach.com and just write newsletter in the subject line. I usually send out my newsletter once or twice a month. They have special offers in them. They have the new moon videos in them, and also announcements about what's going on with my courses or my webinars or my retreats or my business in general, what I'm up to. So feel free to be a part of that if you like to. If you're a member of my online community, of course, you already get all the information that you need, so you don't need to sign up for the newsletter anymore. Now, if you have any general questions about the new moon or astrology, feel free to always email me at info@astrologercoach.com. If you have any personal questions that require of me to pull up your birth chart, please book a reading via my website at astrologercoach.com. Or you can also ask any questions of personal nature connected to what's coming up within the next 30 or 40 days when you join the next monthly forecasting forum on February 26th. You can ask these questions either in advance, or you can also ask them during the monthly forecasting forum if you're joining live. If you can't join live on February 26th, feel free to ask questions in advance and then just watch the recording of the webinar. Again, we will focus on the upcoming Saturn-Uranus squares in Aquarius that are happening throughout 2021. And that's about it. My members will see me in about 2 weeks around the time of the full moon. Remember, you can get access to the full moon video as well if you register for the monthly forecasting forum. That's an option. And if you don't want to register or if you don't want to become a member, then I will see everyone else in 4 weeks from now for the next new moon video. So whatever you're doing, whatever works best for you, watch out for my additional support videos as well that I will post around the time of the full moon. Make sure you stay healthy, focus on your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. It's very important that we really allow ourselves to be very holistic in how we approach our well-being at this time. And do your best to keep raising your own frequencies through activities and daily routines that support a higher vibrational outcome whenever possible. All right, so have a fantastic new moon. Much love to all of you. I'm astrologer coach Sonja Francis. Goodbye.